Hello, and welcome to Retro Boost Live. Oh, it's the winter edition. Storm blew through, kind of. It wasn't what it was meant to be. We were lied to. They always do that. Say that there's a big storm coming, and then, nope. It was worried it was going to lose power or something, but didn't happen. So, anyway. To everyone who watches the stream live, and anyone watching the recording, which you'd be watching now if you're watching the recording, hi! Appreciate you watching so much. This is going to be the next device-focused stream. Last time was all about just playing around with Ratchet and Clank with the 5X Pro. Going to continue that too, alternate between different things. And before that, did a Rad 2X stream. So much like that one, this one's device-focused, and it's all going to be about the CARBY. So we'll be talking about the Insurrection Industries CARBY today. Everything I talk about, though, for the most part, is pretty applicable to the other GameCube video devices. The RetroBit Prism, the Eon Mark II, they all use the same open source GameCube GC video, DVI firmware. So it's pretty universal. I sprinted down the stairs just now, so I'm kind of out of breath. Need to take a breath and get situated. So let's switch over to our things. What I'm going to start with is sort of an introduction to what the CARBY itself is. Just go over all the basics before playing some games and taking a look at its menu and so on. So let's get... where are you? Oh no. Boom. Let's go back to the past. The last major video I made on the CARBY, which has the old logo still. Gotta make a newer one. Let's skip ahead a bit. So, the old uniform too. Good lord. So, alright, there she is. So the CARBY is an HDMI adapter meant for the GameCubes that have the digital AV port, the DOL-001. Plug and play. You stick it in, you turn the GameCube on, and you are ready for action. With NTSC region consoles, which this is a new thing that I learned recently, unlike PAL region, 480p apparently isn't as widely spread, if at all, in the PAL region GameCubes, but for the NTSC ones, you can get 480p output. They call it progressive scan when the game's booting up, and that's kind of the main perk to the CARBY. For this, because as far as price goes, if you have a DOL-001, devices like the CARBY, the Prism being $79 USD, are the cheapest way to get 480p output from the GameCube, which looks fantastic. That's all there is to it. You just plug it in and go. The game should boot up and ask you right away like that, do you want to go into progressive scan? If it doesn't, you can just hold down the B button on the controller while the console boots up, and that kind of forces it to ask that message, assuming the game supports it, because not all of them do. All of Nintendo's first party stuff all does, but a lot of the third party things tend not to. So it's a thing you got to be aware of. Hi, Niall. Nice to have you here. Talking about the CARBY today. So, when I talked about, the interlaced stuff, it was the third-party games like Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Those were all ones that didn't support 480p. So now, let's turn that off. Nice to have you here, Niall. Let's get into it. I'm going to turn the GameCube on. I love the CARBY. It's definitely my preferred way of playing the GameCube. The 5X Pro is very sweet too. You get a lot of the same benefits, but for way more of the price. Because the CARBY has a similar value proposition that the Rad 2X does, where it's it's specialized, which helps it be cheaper. So if that's your thing, if the Super Nintendo was your thing, the Rad 2X makes a ton of sense. If the GameCube is your thing, then something like the CARBY or the RetroBit Prism makes a ton of sense. They are only for the consoles that have the digital AV port, which I show right here. Let's pause. I'll let it go. Show it again. Oh boy. Yoink, yoink. Right there. Stop. Pause. So you got to have the model that has that digital AV port. The DOL-001, which actually is the more common of the two, because the DOL-101 were the ones that were produced a little bit later. So there's more of the 001s out in the wild than the 101s. But you gotta have that to plug it into, because that's the port that the Nintendo component cables would use. Stick it in, and then NTSC region GameCubes 480p is like commonly supported. PAL region 480i is the main thing, 576i 480i. So you got to bear in mind in that situation, 2X Pro, 5X Pro is probably better if the output's going to be interlaced all the time. Because the CARBY's weakness, in my opinion at least, is its line doubling and stuff like that is not as good as RetroTINKs are, which I'll be showing shortly. So that's the one thing, because there are some region differences to take into account with this. That's the weird thing about the GameCube. 480p is like super common with that port in the NTSC region, but that's not the case with the PAL region ones, which I didn't know that until very recently, since a lot of the people that I interact with through this channel are PAL region users. So that's been an interesting thing to learn. Like Passix, for example, is like the one that I found that through. We post a lot in the Discord server. All right, let's boot it up. Let's do let's do progressive scan first, and then go to interlaced, and then go back. So we're gonna turn on the GameCube. Ooh, we'll do progressive first, actually. It makes more sense. It's going to boot up in interlaced. But it should ask us, yes, do you want to do progressive? Yes, I do. This game is also crazy loud. I've seen the video and I've seen Retro RGB's video on the RetroTINK 4K CE. A lot of the differences between the two seem pretty high level in terms of their functionality, so it got me thinking about, like, maybe I could get the CE. Oh god, it's so loud. Oh man, jeez. I don't know though. I feel like I would still want to do the 4K main one, because then I'd have all the features, which I may one day learn to take full advantage of. Like, the differences between the two seem pretty minimal to someone that's a little more casually aligned. Like, I'm not an engineer. I don't take these things apart and, like, deep dive into them. Like, I'm a fan of this stuff first and foremost, so it seemed like I'd probably be fine with the CE. But if I'm gonna buy one of them, I'd rather just save up and get the bigger one, personally. I don't know. I want to wait for some more info to come out about it, maybe. Keep an eye on it. Ballin'. So we got Sonic Adventure here via the CARBY. 480p output from the console. It was pretty good. I'm going to load into the game and then we'll mess around with the menu, because it has an on-screen menu, much like the 5X Pro does. I guess I can't just stop. Whatever. Oh, okay. So CARBY has a remote, a lot like the 5X Pro does. So we can load up the on-screen menu. Maybe. What happened to my little IR thing here? Come on, jerk face. Where are you? Oh, fell over. Nah, that would explain that. Really? Don't do this to me. Wow. How typical. Okay, well, it would have had a menu. Maybe the battery in this thing's just finally dead. I'm pretty sure. Oh, didn't I have CARBY in this thing? No, I don't. Dang! That's a bummer. What's going on with you? Ow. Work. Ah! Okay, let's see why this isn't pointing in the right spot. Blah. That should fix it. Aha! Alright. Good lord. So, good time to mention the remote is IR based, so obviously if the CARBY's behind the GameCube and you're in front of it, it's unlikely that the IR signals are going to be able to reflect in a way that lets it hit the CARBY. So what I have done, and I showed this off in one of the CARBY videos I did, but I have just an IR repeater front facing here, and then it runs behind the GameCube, and there's the other part. It just got knocked over, that's why it wasn't working at first. So that lets you just control it from the front. And then regarding your question, between the two, where this becomes kind of interesting, when I've done videos in the past comparing like the 2X Pro and the 5X Pro to the CARBY, one of the examples I showed kind of gives you an idea of what the PAL CARBY experience looks like. Because you wouldn't get 480p, but you would get like that RGB output. So it's like a step up in terms of like color and contrast from composite, but it isn't necessarily as clear as what you're going to be seeing from my stuff because it's not 480p. So for the PAL region, it's like a very different kind of consideration for this device because of that. You're almost better off going down like the homebrew method, you know, doing Swiss to like force 480p, or because I'm pretty sure you can do that still with the PAL region GameCubes, or like USB loader on a Wii to accomplish kind of the same thing, which I'm also like pretty sure you can still do in PAL. Wobbling Pixels had a whole video about that, and there's like PAL well, let's just see. There's PAL chapters in it, so I have to assume that you can. But the NTSC 480p output is definitely like the best that the GameCube can give you. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Only care about 480p. Couple of options. Pico boot, and then force. Yeah, so Pico boot is one way of doing it to force into 480. That's definitely like a little more complicated. I've never gone down that path. But let's see if USB loader does, because that's the easiest way. Getting a PAL. Preoccupied, haziness. Yeah, it is possible. So 480p through USB loader is possible. But there are like borders, they're saying. At least one post. It's really hard to say. It's a little complicated. It's hard for me to speak to since I don't have that stuff to mess with. But it definitely is possible. That's definitely the one consideration for all this, though, is that what I'm showing right here, right now, is full 80p output from there. Whereas PAL region stuff is not going to generally support that. It'll be 576i, 480i, whatever, which I will show in a moment. I want to climb through the OSD real quick now that I've fixed the flippity-flip IR thing. The main thing in here is scanline profiles, because it does support that, and one of them is pretty good. But we can do scanlines. It comes across as like exponential, like for what the 5X Pro's suite does, just like straight horizontal lines. Personally, I prefer scanline profile 3. I think it's quite nice. You can change the field order to even or odd. And then there are additional factors, you can customize like the intensity and so on. So there is like some customization to it, which is pretty nice. Full custom on. So it's pretty cool, like what you can do with it. It makes it like ever so slightly ahead of what the 2X Pro can do, because like the 2X Pro, one of the perks to it is it does have scanline support. It's on-off, whereas the CARBY, you have multiple profiles, you can customize them, so it's a little more intense. And again, like any GameCube video device is going to have these, so CARBY, Prism, etc. will all have this thing there. But I quite like scanline profile 3. I think that it is just the right amount of thickness. I quite like that. Oop, missed that jump. Whoa. I did a video where I demonstrated this with like Star Fox Assault, I think, which is another good looking, really clear looking 480p title. Ah, I can't corner with it. Dang. It's still so loud though. God. Shush. Alright. There we go. So scan lines on. Scan lines off. Totally optional thing there. Oh, God. Exit. Shush. Hello, Devin. Nice to have you here. Flippy drive? No. My GameCube is in no way modified. I have done like homebrew stuff on my Wii, though. It's all pretty simple stuff, though, all considered. But I use like USB loader on there. USB loader for the Wii, super cool. Definitely a fun way. You can still execute discs from that to do like the 480p patch and other stuff. I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but there is a wobbling pixels video that is like super good, that explains the USB loader and all those other features. Hello, Passix, nice to have you here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Internet goes out, never fun. We are very used to the internet these days. When that goes out, it is not fun. That's why I keep a supply of downloaded copies of my digital purchases from Fandango and stuff on my phone and iPad for a contingency if the internet goes down. Been going over the CARBY here. As I said in the beginning, due to the region differences in the GameCubes and how they perform, everything I'm talking about is applicable to the NTSC experience and not necessarily applicable to the PAL experience, which is unfortunate. I really wish I had a PAL GameCube because then I could do both. I've been thinking about buying one on and off. I'm probably never going to see one in any of the retro stores near me, so it's probably going to be an online purchase. But if I do that, I can do them both, and then we can really go to town. So This at the moment is 480p output from the CARBY, from the GameCube through the CARBY. The CARBY is basically acting as like a pass-through device in a sense, and giving us 480p output from the GameCube's digital AV port, and then we can go there. I was just doing the scanline stuff because there is a pretty nice scanline suite within the CARBY. Profile 3 is kind of the most intense. It is my favorite. Mentioned you can change the field order, which is always nice. This is something that definitely is going to be handy for situations where the game doesn't support 480p. But there are other stuff. There is other things to look at. So you can mess around with the picture, mess around with the contrast, the color saturation, overall brightness, change the position. I've never had to change the position. That's something that you come across a little more often with like the 5X Pro, and thankfully you can do that with the 5X Pro as well. I remember the days where you couldn't. The 5X Pro is like 1.0 firmware. You couldn't do that. But I've never needed to for the GameCube through the CARBY specifically. I've never felt that the picture was like off-put when it boots up. Then you can mess around with the OSD itself, what the color is and so on. Pretty basic there, but it's nice to have it. You can change the color range from like limited to full. DVI mode means that it's either going to work or not. 16:9 has never like done what I think it's going to do. I'm not really positive on what that has. I was kind of expecting it to stretch it and make it 16:9, but it never has. My TV can manually do that, so that's kind of how I accomplished that. Good morning, Prime One. Nice to have you here. Good morning to you as well. And then you can also customize settings within the different output resolutions. So, like, if you wanted, scanline profile 3 or whatever to always be what happens with full radii, like, we can do that. So let's actually do that right now. Scanline profile 3. And then line doubling. So that's what I just did. So, boom. So now if I boot the game up and it's full radii, it's going to be scanline profile 3. I'll do the same thing to 576, just in case that's the thing. So 3, line doubler on. And that's pretty cool. And then our advanced settings. These are the ones you probably don't want to mess with, but you can do different things. I have played around with the color format. RGBF is the default and probably the one you want to leave on. So I'm not going to play with these, but they are here. So there are a good amount of settings to play with. So now, let me do a little more gameplay with 480p, just so we remember what it looks like. And then I'm going to switch to 480i. So I quite like the 480p experience. I think it's very clear, very defined. It's definitely my preferred way to play the GameCube. I'd be curious to try out the other GC video devices, but I'm also not really in a rush to because they all use the same firmware, so they should all, in theory, have the same video quality. Some of them, like the Eon Mark II, have additional hardware features. I think it has a component pass-through and optical output or something like that. So it's a pretty sophisticated device hardware-wise, but the quality should be the same. Oh my gosh. Out of my way. Stop it! What? Okay. Now, let's reboot and keep it interlaced. And it's going to boot up automatically with my scanline profile 3, which isn't customized, it's just the default profile 3. But profile 3 is the most intense, very comparable to exponential for the 5X Pro / what the 2X Pro looks like. It's just lines. So the game is asking me here. Not all games will. Again, I mentioned at the beginning, if you hold the B button, you'll force the game to prompt this message, assuming the game has support for 480p. Practically all the first-party big titles do. Nintendo stuff and whatnot. But a lot of third-party games, I mentioned like specifically like Need for Speed, Harry Potter, Quidditch World Cup, etc. Like they won't. So I'm gonna hit no though to kind of bypass that. And where's my scanline profile? What are you doing? Maybe it's not one of those resolutions I chose. Huh. Oh wait, did I choose yes on accident? Oh, I think I did. I hit B. No! Boo me! Okay. Stuck! Stuck! Alright, come on. Okay, 40i. Alright, so it's definitely 40i. Weird. Line doubler on, scanline off. Why didn't you do my modes? 40i. Oh, I didn't hit save and exit. Exit. I must not have saved it. Where's the save option, though? You jerk. Alright. And I went even. Exit. Come on. Boink. Okay, so now we're doing line doubling with scanline profile 3. The scanlines come across as a little more subtle when it's interlaced for some reason. There's probably a sciencey reason for that. It's a little beyond me, though. Okay, now as we load in, overall, I think that like the deinterlacing of like the RetroTINK 2X Pro or the 5X Pro are a little superior to the CARBYs. I mean, to me, it feels like scanlines are almost necessary for the CARBY. Whereas like the 2X Pro on like smooth for something like this, or doing different things with the 5X Pro, comes across as a little nicer. Wow. Oh man, I'm so bad at this. There tends to be a lot of noticeable jitter too with the CARBY when line doubling. But scanlines can help a little bit with that. Like, I think they definitely help overall. But compared to where we were with 480p, when doing this with scanlines, it's still quite good. Without scanlines, I don't think it's as good. Which is funny, because normally I'm not, like, crazy about scanlines in general. It's only kind of specific scenarios I find myself using them in. Mainly, like, the PS2. Other consoles I don't feel... Oh my gosh. Other consoles I don't feel the need as much. But I think that looks quite good. Boop. Scanline profile 2, profile 1, alternate. Oh, there we go. I think alternating is helping with the jitter. Yeah, absolutely it is. So, scanlines are more noticeable, but so is the jitter if it's off. If I apply on, scanlines aren't as defined, but the jitter has been helped with to a noticeable degree. So, cool. Hit the button. I see the pause menu and I'm like, I gotta get it out of there. Hey, I did it this time. Jeez, I could just hit one ramp. Whee! Oh. Them's the basics. Kind of said at the beginning, if you were like the GameCube was like your main thing, especially if it's an NTSC region one, being $70, CARBY / Retrobit Prism, they become some of the cheapest options to get the best possible quality out of what the GameCube can do. It gets a little more complicated if it's a PAL region situation because not everything's going to support 480p. From what I could tell doing some research, very little titles that are PAL region support that, which is a bummer because it's really good. 576i I think is like the highest output from like a lot of the PAL region stuff from what I could tell just doing some research online. Again, it's hard for me to, I can't test it myself because I don't own that. In that situation, I'd almost say that like, 2X Pro running like S-Video or, using the Wii with component, like those kind of become the cheapest, best options. The big truck. But for a game that didn't support 480p, like the CARBY with scanlines, it's doing a pretty good job. When I tested it in the past, I wasn't using scanlines as much. I become more open to scanlines in general, just playing around with the 5X Pro, so that's kind of a key piece of it here, is it really helps with the image to have scanlines alternating. I'd have to assume that the CARBY uses Bob deinterlacing. Definitely seems like it is. Which I think is what the 2X Pro uses as well, is also Bob. Boom. Let's change games. I got a D. Yeah, that's fair. D. Because this one might not. Well, actually, it should. They tend to always prompt for me. I'll do the B button trick. Just to make sure. Because the nice thing about I'm using the Retro Fighters Battler controller, it boots up and turns on like right away. So the B button trick is very easy to do. Turn it on, pair it, hold the B button. Lord. Continue holding the B button during the boot process. And then it forces the game to be like, you want to do it? I'm going to hit yes. The only situations where I see it like not asking is actually more with the component cables than the CARBY itself. Using the Retrobit component cables, it tends not to ask all the time. But now we got 480p going again. This is Kirby Era, another really clean looking game when you run it in 480p. There's a very interesting speedrun of City Trial Any Percent at GDQ a couple days ago. Dude at one point was working 4 controllers at once. And then he would stop and like punch in equations or something because he could do all the RNG stuff. Yes. Dreamcast. You can get SCARTs. Retro Gaming Cables UK released Dreamcast component cables around this time last year, which I have. It's like an alternative basically to God. I think it also like it piggybacks off of like the VG. It's like a VGA conversion kind of thing is what it's doing. Something like that, but you can get 480p out of it or 576i. I don't think it uses the VGA actual port. Or God, my brain is so frazzled right now. What does it have? What are you doing? Oh man. Retro gaming cables. Show it to me. Sega, Dreamcast. Blah. Component cable. It is currently in stock. Nice. Yeah. Neat. Because didn't the VGA have to, like, I forget if it has a port on it or not. Sega Dreamcast ports. God. I mess around with my Dreamcast so infrequently. Yeah, it's just the two. Yeah, ugh. Yeah, it's doing the same thing. Like it's grabbing onto the, it's doing like a really weird like VGA conversion or something. It's cool as hell though. Like the quality jump, like much like what the CARBY does. Like the quality jumps drastically when you're using that. Because yeah, there's the two ports. I've only got like 2 Dreamcast games. I need to work on that, but they're so expensive. That's the problem. Gotta be purple. Oh, it's a fun little game. A lot of great titles on the GameCube like this. And definitely one of my, I think a great one that really exemplifies the CARBY's abilities. It's just super clean and defined. Wow. Nice. Ooh. No, it was mine. It's kind of like what the tapping into the VGA thing. Like, I'm pretty sure it's exactly how like the like when you plug like component cables into the Super Nintendo, like SNES's, at least most models can output like RGB, so it's doing like a RGB to component conversion like for those. Ooh, a lot of defense. It's pretty cool, like on a technical level, how all this stuff works. Like it's a lot of it, pretty much all of it's like a little above my head. It's been like a learning journey doing all this stuff for the channel, but it's kind of incredible how a lot of this stuff does what it does. Even more incredible that it's like the CARBY, it's running off of like firmware that they just share and like anyone can put it to use. It's pretty incredible. Because the CARBY is just one of them. There's other devices out here that do this. From a quality perspective, they should all be about the same. Like I was saying earlier, the GameCube video part, because this is like a DVI based like video technology as opposed to like the Dreamcast doing VGA. The SNESs are doing RGB, so on and so forth. It's crazy, man. This stuff is really cool. I would like to one day get into understanding a lot of that stuff more, playing around with console modding even maybe. What? Get all my stats up. I know the Dreamcast for a while was one that was just like really notorious to try to get better stuff out of, because you'd have to get like RGB was like a SCART cable, probably one of the VGA element of it I've always found really interesting, because there's like these VGA adapters that you use. It's pretty cool. I don't know of any other console that supports VGA like that. That that alone is just kind of interesting. Poor Dreamcast. It was taken before its time. Oof. 1 minute to go. Once I do the event, I'll reset it again, and we'll do interlace with scanlines. Actually, I've never seen this game like that. I've only ever played it 480p, so I'll be a little curious to see how that actually looks. Give me stats, come on. Alright, see how I did. Yeah. Oh, this will be easy. Whoa! The races are fun after you do the city trial because you get the right stats, you can just crush the lap times. 15 seconds. Alright, let's reset, and this time we'll bypass progressive scan. Blah. I want to get a SCAR cable for the Dreamcast as well, because that would free up another port for my Extron switches. Although the component cable is the main method that I have for that to be used. So, alright, and then scan lines on. We'll do 3. I prefer even. Keep it consistent to what I'm used to with the 480p profile. Exit. Pretty good. It's a little more jaggedy than Sonic was. The edges are popping out a little more. But for 480i, that's not bad. It's funny, it shows up in the capture. Usually it's the capture that struggles with the scan lines. This time it's the opposite. My preview monitor, they're way more subtle compared to the stream. But actually, looking at Kirby, the jitter is a lot more noticeable than it was for Sonic Adventure 2, which I wasn't expecting, but that's why we're here doing this. Alternating really helped visibly with the Sonic Adventure 2 thing, but here, yikes, it's not really helping at all. Like, scan lines being off. Let's see what that looks like. Helps a little bit, but not as drastically. That's interesting. Exit. Yeah, it's definitely not as good. It's a little better in the game, so no, it wouldn't be different resolutions because that would be pretty obvious. So I will say that games that have like different resolutions for their menus and stuff, you do lose picture with the CARBY when you're switching between them. A tangible example for the GameCube is like Resident Evil 4. I played around, I toyed around with the idea of doing one of those, like, let's compare the original to the remake kind of videos, because I did that for like Metroid Prime and Kirby's Return to Dreamland and so on. Didn't end up doing the video. Maybe I'll go back and do it just for giggles, but pausing that game to access the inventory, the picture drops, and then pausing to go back to the game, it drops again because the menu's a different resolution than the in-game gameplay is, which for Resident Evil is actually kind of devastating because like you're in that opening sequence of like trying to survive in the village and the picture like has a very delayed cut when you're going back into the game, so it'll get you killed. That's definitely a consideration with the CARBY, because like the 5X Pro has like some protections built in that like help you with that issue, that the CARBY does not. Let's see if I can break the pillar. Do it, 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 do it. Hey, what'd I get? Nice. Turning the compact star into a deadly weapon. I'm fine with the picture quality here too. I got no issues really. In-game is a lot better than the menu was for interlaced. Oop. Which is definitely weird. Because Sonic was like, with the scanlines profile 3 and having it alternate, like, was fine paused or in-game. Woo. No legendary pieces yet. Would have been fun to get that. Air ride formation. Wow. Nice. I haven't seen that one in a while. Man, it's funny looking back. I was so not into scanlines in general, and over time I've really come around. Because I was pretty like, ugh, the CARBY is kind of gross for interlaced. Scanlines help so much. 480p is obviously better if the game supports it and you can do it, but this isn't bad. I think the 2X Pro and the 5X Pro are still king in that category, though. 5X Pro specifically has come such a long way with its deinterlacing and whatnot. Ooh, high jump. Okay. Oh. 274. Yay, I win. Yeah, the jitters on the menu, it's way more noticeable. Let's play around with these a little bit. I don't want to mess with those, but let's do the advanced ones. So, RGB color. I remember playing with this when I did the first CARBY video. RGBL. YC444. I'm assuming that's Chroma 444 sampling, and this is 422 as opposed to 420, which is like the common like home video format. That's kind of interesting if you can do that. Not really seeing much of a difference personally. I have to take some screenshots or something and like compare them. Cool. Well, that's kind of all the broad strokes there of what the CARBY is and what it can do and what its video modes that I'm capable of showing look like. Definitely want to get a PAL GameCube at some point, because then I could play around with like those output resolutions, get an experience for like 50 hertz, stuff like that would be pretty interesting to test, because I don't have any alternate region consoles. Everything I have is NTSC, except for like the RGB modded N64 I have has been modified to be able to support other region games. I believe even though like the console wouldn't do it, through Action Replay I could play PAL region games, because Action Replay has like a freeloader thing that like lets you insert and boot up games of any region from like the console. Like if the console was NTSC, you could use Action Replay to play like a PAL region or Japan region game, which is pretty cool. I don't have any other region games. You should get them. Because like that stuff's been like more relaxed lately. Because like I know that like the PS4, you can play like other region games in it. Because Puyo Puyo Tetris that me and Cameron played is like Japan region, works just fine. Although obviously you got the language barrier to consider. Yeah. So that's the CARBY there in basic. One last time, let me reboot it, but with progressive scan. Whoa. Should prompt. It didn't prompt. All right. The B button trick becomes necessary. So that time, it didn't prompt. So like I have seen posts online, people will like buy things like this or use component cables, and they'll they don't even know that that's a thing. So there, it didn't ask. So I don't know what causes it like not to ask, even though like it did before. You saw it, but there we go. Got it on camera. Sometimes it won't. So now I'm gonna hold down the B button while booting it up, and that's gonna force it to ask. Keep holding it throughout this part. Still holding it. And now it asks. I'm gonna hit yes. So there it was. Sometimes it won't do it. You got to force it. And now it's in 480p. Let's see what scanlines are like with Kirby, actually. Yeah. That's fine. For whatever reason, Star Fox Assault is like my favorite CARBY scanline game. Like, I think it's just that game's overall color and contrast profile. The scanlines are pretty nice on that. Boom. Let's do it. Oh, it's the first time booting it up. Yeah, even though it's definitely not. Ooh, I have all the characters unlocked. It can be DDD. Give me Meta Knight. Wait, Meta Knight. Being Meta Knight's kind of like cheating, though. He just has the sword power up, basically. You dare pass me. No, they're gonna win. I said it was cheating, except it's not. Ow. Nice. Oh, the game's probably barely even audible. There we go. Had to turn down super low because Sonic was so unbelievably loud. Caught in 4K, yep. Oh my god, we're going at the same speed. Look at this nail biter. What the heck? Attacking them like helped him. Oh, I'm gaining. Gaining. Oh, I'm gonna do it. Oh my god, how frustrating. Get him eventually. Aha! Oh no! I don't have like the health system turned on. Oh no, I can see your message. Oh wait, the bunch came through. I don't know how I missed that. But 576 50 hertz over 40. I gotta try that. I want to be able to try that, I should say. I'm not sure if I can do it currently. That would be good. Yeah, maybe your messages. Last one I saw. Oh yeah, what happened? That's weird. All these messages. Whoa! How did I miss all that? Did that just happen? I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to ignore everybody. So I kept looking over and I kept seeing that. Like the SCART one there was the last one. My apologies. Ugh. Or wait, did that just all pop through at once? What happened? I'm so confused. Let me catch up on these. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Meta Knight Gaming, hello. Nile, see yours there. Yes. So like SCART cable / the retro gaming component cables are like a better output from the Dreamcast. Blah, 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 blah. And then yes, like as the Wii. So the Wii was also like my main way of playing GameCube games for the longest time. Even when the channels like early days. That's kind of what I was doing, because HD Retrovision's Wii cables and their PS2 cables are both like their cheaper ones, and they're great. And then, yep. Is that what's happening? Like it's censoring hertz or something? What happened? Because now all your things are there. Good lord. Yeah, that's weird. It's the I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me hit live chat too. Maybe that'll help. I don't have any like specific. I mean, I probably should now that I'm mentioning this, but I don't have like any specific like censorship or moderation-y things turned on, so I'm not sure what had done that. That was probably some kind of weird glitch. Weird. Sorry about that. Genuinely. I was thinking to myself, like, the chat's kind of quiet right now. All of a sudden, boom! Like everything's there. So my apologies. Let me grab a different game. Swap that out real quick. Everything else is working. It's so weird. Something always has to go wrong. You know the tradition here. Things can never work right. I don't get to have nice things. Or functional things, I guess is more the term. Let's play something different. Here's a fun one. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Hold the B button down. Progressive mode, yes. I know that it like, well, again, like I didn't set up anything specific. Like I didn't like manually go in there and tell it to grab different words. Like you can't say but. Like I didn't do that. So I'm not sure why that would be happening. That's very strange. I'll have to like review that maybe. Maybe it did like change it and turn it on. Turn on some kind of automatic thing. I'll have to go in there and look. That's a bummer though that it hit all your stuff for the longest time there. I was like, that's weird. Weird and kind of frustrating. Definitely a funny coincidence though. Like I hit the volume thing and it just. I haven't played this in a while. Oh, so right. Super Mario Strikers. This is a fun one. Very violent, too. Even kind of violent for Mario standards. Like, there's a lot of cartoony violence in Mario games, but for some reason this one has like a violent tone to it. I mean, right here. Ah! Toad just got sent to space. Did not care for the new one of these. Oh, really? I'll have to pop in Deep Cover Gecko then. I've barely played that one. I have the Robo Lords unlocked, but I'm going to be my purple boy. DK. Sure. Yeah, Deep Cover Gecko, I remember renting maybe when I was a kid. Because I think the file was like pretty significantly completed. I was able to run around the whole open world area. I do have it. Should pop that one in for the next like N64 thing. Ah! Boom, flashbang. So you're saying it's not the kind of game to play with like the lights turned off, all immersed with a blanket over your head because it's winter time and it's cold. You don't want to do that. That's funny. Give me that. Give me it. Give me it. Ah. Ah. No. Oh, almost had a perfect one there. Electricity thing is so brutal. Oh, almost had a perfect one. That's funny. I did not care for the new one of this. Battle League? Ugh. Between them, like, making the arenas way smaller and, like, it's the overall way that it plays. It did not have legs. It came out and was, I don't know, people liked it, but then it just didn't last. Came and it went. Do a perfect pass. Come on, ah. It's an audio cue. Come on. No, I'm playing around too much. That might go in. Oh. No! DK! Oh! Perfection! All of the Mario sports games, graphically speaking, look really good in 480p. Whether you're using CARBY or 2 in a row, or the 5X Pro. I think the CARBY comes across as sharper overall than the 5X Pro, even with it being 1080p. But like on their own, they both look spectacular. I would like to one day get like the legit Nintendo component cables. The Retrobit ones are good, still pricey, but mine, the audio channels are reversed. Just like a weird thing to have wrong with them. And their overall like color and gamma aren't quite there, aren't as good, rather, when you compare them like directly to the like doing Wii component cables, HD Retrovision with like the 5X Pro, for example. Gamma and color aren't quite as good. Just do this as many times as it takes. Football? I think you mean soccer. I actually say football to reference the sport because I respect it. I do not care for American football at all. So I love to make a lot of people that I work with angry by referring to football out of context. And then as the conversation deepens, it becomes clear that I'm referring to what they think is soccer, just to be a little jerk. 8-1. That's kind of a massacre. If that was like a real football game, that'd be embarrassing. That'd be very embarrassing. Oh, I like DK there. He was like a... and then it was turning. Show that one again. Let's see DK turn like a robot. Not that one. It's another one. He's just stuck in the net. That's it. He's like a turret. This is a fun game. It's very expensive now. This is like one of the few GameCube titles I paid more than its MSRP for. I think I got it for like $80. It was quite the investment. I bought it not long before, maybe right after. No, I think it was before. I don't remember. About around the time that the new one came out, because I was feeling nostalgic and wanted to rebuy it. It's a good time. Wrong one. Go to here. Alright, so that's where I'm going to end this one. That's kind of the CARBY, like, summed up, at least the NTSC experience summed up. Did some 480i, did some 480p, showed the device there. Oh, have fun with your that journey. There are some very expensive ones out there right now. That's always an interesting thing about visiting some of the local game shops. For me, is like seeing where the prices have kind of climbed to for some of them. I think F-Zero GX is getting close to passing $100 here. All the Mario Party games, pretty much in stores at least, are like north of 100. eBay and secondhand, they're not as expensive though. They're like 60 to 80, still up there. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, like 300 easy. Chibi Robo and like what's that cube? Like Zoo Cube can be way up there. Like there's a couple that are like 600. It hurts. It hurts my soul. Funny enough, the local game shop near me on Christmas Day, I think it was Christmas Day, or maybe it was Christmas Eve after hours, had a break-in. And the only thing stolen was a PS5. That store had all that stuff. Like they had Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, they had tons of like oh my god, what is my... I'm tired right now is what it is. Been up since like 3 a.m. Local time. They have tons of valuable games, like worth hundreds. Like they had like a few dozen. They have like north of 100 GameCube titles there, which the collective value alone is like thousands and thousands of dollars. And like the guy only stole a PS5. Like he could have had so much stuff. Also, Path of Flatulence. I've only seen Path of Radiance. No, actually, I haven't. I've never seen Path of Radiance. I've seen one of the Fire Emblem games being played through like the Game Boy player at a friend's house once. It's just, don't take it out of context. But I'm gonna break into a game store. I just thought it was funny that, like, you know, it's one thing if you break into like a GameStop and like everything's modern, so like the MSRP for all those games is like 60 to 80, but like that retro game store had so much nice stuff in it that the guy just probably didn't even know was valuable, because it's pretty clear that that person was looking for a PS5 specifically, whether it be for themselves or to be gifted to somebody else, who knows. But it's like so much other stuff was there. They had there's like Virtual Boy games in there. There's all these like really obscure and like super valuable PS1 games. You got all the GameCube stuff. They have like a lot of the really rare to see Nintendo Switch releases, even like the limited run stuff that's like super valuable. Didn't take any of it. Only stole the PS5. And that to me is so funny. Like, it's sad, it's funny. It's like, this is way more. Could have had some side hustle money coming in there, man. And you only took the PS5. No, that was interesting. I went there like the next day, and they had already like fixed everything and replaced the glass case, and they were on it. The door or whatever. Like, however the guy broke in. I don't know if he actually broke anything. Now that I'm saying that, I don't know that he actually physically destroyed anything glass. I think he probably just kicked the door open or something. That's probably all it was. But yeah, I walked in there and I was like, I heard that you guys don't have your, you sold your last PS5. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't be going. Well, the PS5's heavy. It's a big thing to carry out of there. Just grab GameCube games. It's a rush situation. You have 30 seconds. 30 seconds to 5-finger discount. Similarly, back when I worked at GameStop, I remember hearing that a store in another territory had a truck like plow through the front and like destroy the entrance, and the alarm's going off like immediately. So, you know, it's like 30-second mentality. The only thing they stole were the fake display boxes for headphones that they keep on the floor to advertise that the company carries them. They don't actually contain anything valuable. They're just display boxes. But that's all these people stole, because they were like, you know, in a panic, gotta make every second count, grab whatever you can, and all they grabbed was display boxes. Obviously, they cost the store a bunch of money because they destroyed the front, but they didn't actually steal product that needed to be, like, insured, which is also very funny. People do dumb things. Okay. That's where I'll be ending today's stream. Tomorrow is going to be all about playing around with the PS3 with the 5X Pro. That'll be kind of some goofy fun. And then I'll look into doing the next kind of device-focused one, probably the 2X Pro or the 5X Pro itself. We'll see. Next week as well, and then continue some of the existing games that I'm working on getting through. So thanks everyone who joined me today live. We had a lot of viewers today. I'll definitely appreciate everyone popping in, saying hello, checking things out. I know that I don't have like a PAL region system, so did my best there to answer the PAL questions. Hope it was helpful. I don't have any firsthand with that, so sorry. It's a little interesting with that in consideration. But thanks everyone for joining me. Like I said, there's a lot of people joined in. Sorry about the chat thing, whatever happened there. Having the chat like hold up. I'm like thinking to myself like, it's quiet right now. Like it just like blew up all at once. So sorry about that. I'm gonna have to check. I'll look into what the mod settings are, if anything. So that's weird. But thank you all again. Thanks Pastix, thanks Prime, thanks Niall. Demon Fox King, it's great having you all here. Definitely appreciative. Who else will I give a shout out to? What else? Mennonite, thank you. Devin Fava, thank you. Everyone that popped in, I really appreciate it. And I will see you all on the next one. You can join me tomorrow. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.